What's up, everybody? This is your boy 7 aka TJ aka Gosman. We back at it again with another video. This time this video is going to be a showcasing of 3 characters. Y'all already know every time when a new character come out, I do a showcase and basically showcase their gears, their moves, and their intros and outros. But since that 3 characters came out at the same time, I'm going to be showcasing 3 characters. And those 3 characters are Fujin, Sheeva, and Robocop. We're going to be showcasing Fujin first, then we're going to be showcasing Sheeva after, and Robocop last. Not that many people wanted Robocop, but he's here. So, it is what it is. But Sheeva and Fujin are basically the most popular characters of them all. Fight. So we're gonna talk about them in a bit. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and also share with your friends and family. And please support my channel. And basically, I'll continue talking about the history of the characters, showing gameplay of different variety of games, and more. But right now, let's get into the customization and talking about their history. So I already looked at the characters after the story yesterday, but now we're getting more in depth with the character. So let's start off with Fujin. He has the arrows. In every single gameplay that they had him in for Mortal Kombat, way before Armageddon and all these others, he never had an arrow. He always had a long staff that looked like a sword with a stick at the end. But now they made it to the point that it's 2 weapons instead of 1 for him. So we're gonna look at this arrows, then we're gonna look at the sword and whatever else they gave him. Alright, now he's showcasing the sword, his iconic sword that he always fight with within all Mortal Kombat stories or gameplay in different versions of Mortal Kombat in the past. look at his gauntlets that he has. Oh, and there's some things that y'all didn't know about Fujin. Fujin is Raiden's brother. Yes, he is Raiden's brother, the god of wind. Raiden is the god of thunder and lightning, or just lightning. But Raiden is basically the youngest, or yeah, he's the youngest in the family, knowing that his oldest brother is Shao Kahn, which is very weird, in the least that his brother is basically a Khan. But knowing when you're a god, you basically related to everybody. If you're a Titan, you're related to Centurion, and that other creature that nobody knows of and care of because she's a cheat. I forgot her name. Well, Centurion's mother. But either way, she, like all Titans, their mother is basically the mother of all Titans. For gods, they're basically related to each other, which is Shao Kahn, Fujin, and Raiden. And their father is basically the god of all elements. Shao Kahn is just basically the god of dragons, but he tries to be the king of Outworld. And knowing that they're not really going depth into Shao Kahn's story, because Shao Kahn is basically an Outworld king. And basically, they didn't really want to go in depth of what they had started with in the Mortal Kombat movie and everything. They wanted to follow up towards the TV show of, the TV show and the comics of Mortal Kombat. So basically, they're trying to explain that the story of Shao Kahn is basically not a spin-off, but like, I forgot how you call it, canon in a way, because they wanted to show that Shao Kahn is basically related to the gods in a way, but he was the excuse me. He's he basically is like Lucifer. He was up there with the gods, and he tried to start war and everything, and then he got banished from the god realms with Raiden and them. So now he's living amongst the underworld. So living amongst the underworld gives him more of a accomplishment to go and take control of everybody and all of their worlds within the universe. So basically, Fujin and Raiden are actually brothers, but I don't know if Shao Kahn is basically adopted or if he's an actual brother. But in the movie, they are really brothers. But in the TV shows, he's just an outcast and is now living amongst the underworld, doing a tournament, and he has Shang Tsung under his wing, doing everything that he wants and everything in his control. But Fujin is basically, he's like one of the Shaolin monks in a way, but more of like in a way to explain it, he's more like Liu Kang and everything. His abilities is different, but his style of fighting is just like Liu Kang, but in a advanced way. And the way he fight is just like Liu Kang. Kind of like this victory. It's kind of cool. I like this one as well. To be honest, Fujin is my #1 favorite character out of all the characters I use within Mortal Kombat in general. But ever since he has been showing up in Mortal Kombat, ever since for I think MK9 and Armageddon, I think. I forgot the rest of the games that he was in, but not as like a gameplay. He was in the story. And basically within that story it explains he fought alongside Raiden, and he basically like gets more into the point that he is protecting Raiden and assisting him in every quest that he was in. But Fujin is the strongest, way stronger than Raiden in general. But we are at his movesets, and his movesets that he has is Wind Barrier, and Wind Barrier is basically an amplified moveset of the of a moveset that nobody knows of. I don't even know myself, but the whirlwind is basically like in a way it's like a parry, like an anti-air / parry in the air when you amplify it. Skywalker, you could basically walk in. You could skywalk in air to basically either avoid projectiles, and you can like do a lot of things with it, as in like you run in the air, or you could perform a kick, like a dive kick from the air and all that. Divine Wind. Divine Wind is like a attack that he can use if somebody is about to jump in the air. It's like an anti-air, but it's more on the fact that he can just put you back down. Wind push. Wind push. I forgot what that is, but I know it's more on it's more on him basically pushing you away or pulling you forward. Arsenal is when he does his tornado wind kicks and everything, which is a long-lasting wind kick that you could counter off, not counter, but you could continuously do it, and you could do combos afterwards, or just basically push them down if you have if you have wind barrier, or if you have air slam. Air slam is when you have, like, say somebody's jumping in the air, you could just bring them back down, or you could just slam them to the ground before you could actually jump. Jet stream. Kind of forgot what jet stream was through the reveal of Fujin, but jet stream is basically like a wind barrier around your body. So if somebody gets next to you, they get caught into it, and you can either like do a combo off of that or something near that process. Pressure bomb, which is an air projectile, which he could project a bomb of air. He could project an air to you, and while it gets near you, it blows up near you or blows up on you and cause a lot of damage. Turbulence is just like Katana's like wind turbulence, where she throws the turbulence at you. It's just like Kong Lao's turbulence, when he spins around in a circle and the wind just blows at you. Warped needle is where he throws his needle at, not his needle, he attacks you straight on with his sword and causes a tornado directing towards you, dealing a lot of damage. Twister is just like Kung Lao's tornado attack, but instead of him doing a tornado attack, he's basically spinning it in a circle where the wind is like literally causing a barrier around him so that he won't get attacked, and he could basically like once that you amplify it, it hits you up in the air, you get into it, and it boosts you to the air, and that causes you to like literally fly in the air for about like a couple seconds while you're falling back down. They could do a combo on you and everything. Deadly Winds. Deadly Winds is a whirlwind and a tailwind combo. And basically with those, you could basically pull people in and do whatever combo you need and all the other stuff. But that's Fujin. We're gonna go to Sheeva, which is my second favorite character from Mortal Kombat in general. She was in Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, and 4. But then after that, she hasn't been showing up in Mortal Kombat that much. she's always been in the story, but she has never been gameplay ever since those 4 games that Mortal NetherRealm had started with. But within that point, let's get into her customization. The backstory on her, she is a general under Sindel. And ever since Sindel had passed away in Mortal Kombat 8 or 9, she basically became the queen of Shokan. And she, once that Katana became the queen of the underworld, that was when she had to like literally be a commander under Katana, obeying all of her rules and everything, and basically just doing what Katana wants her to do. Oh, this look nice. It looked like a wrestling war helmet, but it looks cool. Most of these helmets don't really look all that great, but most of these helmets do look good, but prefer her without the helmet on her head, because it's kind of too much of a, like, it makes her more into a war character instead of the character that they made her in Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3, and 4. The backstory with her, she's, I think, the first Shokan female to actually become a general and work very close to the Empress. And she basically had more of a chance to become the queen of Shokan and everything because Goro had left. Well, Goro had died, and I forgot who else was Kintaro had died as well, and Kintaro was more on being a part of the story, but Kintaro barely had perception within Mortal Kombat history. But yeah, like I said in the story, Sheeva is my favorite female character in Mortal Kombat in general. And basically it's not because of the fact that she has 4 arms and she's all like stronger than all characters. I like her because of the fact that she is more of a warrior than what the others are. The other females, they weren't really warriors at all. They was just regular females who was trained to be a warrior or ninjas in a way, but for for um for Shiva, she looked up to everybody, even her own family, who was warriors. So she was basically a warrior, Shokan, and basically she had more of a chance of becoming a warrior in a way, because one, without her, the army line would basically be the weakest part of the line, because Goro and Shokan and Kentaro is not in the line no more. Kentaro was basically an underling of um, Goro's like line of being a king in the Shokan world. But now that Goro is not the king no more, Shiva is basically the queen, taking in charge and trying to keep everything in line from the Shokan era. But yeah, just like I said, in not in Mortal Kombat, in the story of Aftermath, even if she has full arms, she is sexy as hell. Wait, her nails? No, I thought her nails changed colors. Her nails don't change colors. Alright, now let's look into her intro. Let's go into abilities. Alright. Knowing Shiva, she was more of a grappler, like Jax, and a lot more like, way more than Jackie is, but more like Jax, because Jax is a grappler character, and she's a grappler character as well, but she has more power within her grapples. So these are all of her grapple attacks, which is basically queen punishment. Like, for me, I don't really know much about these attacks, but I only know about the enhanced dragon drop, which is her jumps and everything, which they implemented in the game, which was her old iconic attacks. Shokan snag, which is basically your grapple, where you could grab the person from the air and literally just, well, not from the air, you could grab them from anywhere and just slam them around. Tremor is basically where she jumps in the air and like literally hits the ground a lot. Dragon charge, just like how Goro is, she charges into you and hits you like a football player, just like Shao Kahn. Death March, which is basically she runs at you and kicks you in a way. Spinning Dragon is when she uses her shield to spin around in circles and hit you while she's spinning towards you. Dragon stance, which is basically a stance where she can actually wield fire in her hand, just like how Goro can do the same thing. Battle Scars is just like a charge, but more with the grapple in it. Shield toss, she tosses shield just like Kodokan, and that's basically it on Sheeva. Now let's get into Robocop. I already customized my character within that point, but I'm gonna show you everything that he has. From the helmets, the guns, the heavy sniper, and the costume that he has. This looks like Judge Dredd's look, but more on his own look in a way. Alright, let's continue. All the damage on his head. I really don't like this look. This looked like he ripped off Darkseid's head and just put it on his face and shit, which is kind of really weird, but they end up putting it because that's what they feel like putting for him, even though it's a character that nobody really wants. The backstory on RoboCop is he's a character that was made within the movies, like a sci-fi movie in the late 80s, early 90s, and mid 90s, where they had around like 2 to 3 movies, but they stopped at it, and they kind of did a whole crossover with Terminator and RoboCop, where they end up fighting each other in many different ways through the comics, through Death Battle, but ever since Death Battle is more of a thing, and the comics is basically history in every character or video game. They wanted to implement this within the NetherRealm um, deception of Mortal Kombat. Ever since they put Terminator in, they felt like they should put another um, metal half human character in it. Even though Terminator is more of a drone or a metal beast or whatever you can call him. He's a metal robot that was created to feel like he's human, but not really human. RoboCop is human, but became a robot afterwards. This is basically their implementation of the cyber robots from the Cyberlink Way or any other clan that the robots was from. But this is one of the robots' helmets that they put towards RoboCop. This is the same look but different design on the visor point. This is the punk version of RoboCop back then in the comics that they had. They gave him a punk look because of the era that he was built in and the apocalypse that was going on within his city that he was supposed to put people into justice. This is his original look without the visor and stuff, without the helmet in general, because RoboCop, this is how he really looks as a human. This is the wound that he had got when he got shot in his head before and after he was transformed into the robot version of himself. Even though he had no control of himself from the beginning, but he still had his mind and his memories intact. is his sniper, which is he don't really use it as a sniper. He use it as a heavy machine rifle, which is basically weird, but it is what it is because it's what they put it in the movie. Um, but this is really a heavy duty sniper, which is a one-shot kill sniper, which I think the bullets are a hollow point or um I forgot what was the other bullet that they used for this, but the first bullet is a hollow point, which when they shoot through any objects, any buildings or anything that they can see. But if somebody is hiding behind a wall, they can shoot right through it because of the scope. The scope is a thermal scope, and that thermal scope basically it helps them see through like anything because of the heat waves of the people that they're searching, and knowing that when you run and you basically your heart is pumping and all that, all the heat that you are concepting in your body is what they see through this thermoscope. And they have like different types of scopes on top of the rifle slash sniper. And basically the 40 cal sniper slash rifle is basically a heavy duty gun that not that many people see in Call of Duty or Halo, but this is one of the iconic guns from RoboCop in the past through the history. And knowing RoboCop is a slow character, they had to put this with RoboCop because he could hold his grounds, but he can't move as fast as other people. He's more like an actual drone or an AI character, or well, not AI character, AI robot that has slow inclinations on how to actually move like a human. So it takes them a while to actually like catch on how to walk like a regular human. So they walk very slow, but they take up a lot of ground. I kind of like this one because it percepts his character the most, and it's more on the future tech. But for me, I'm not really much of a fan of RoboCop. Yeah, I've seen all three movies and everything, but I'm still not a fan of RoboCop, and I'm not a fan of Terminator. So basically, it's like that's not the thing. I'm a fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's different. But Terminator in general, I'm not really a fan of because it's like you're watching a movie based off of a robot, and it's kind of cool. Like the movies and everything is cool, but it's not my like. I don't like robots that much. Like the sci-fi story of the two characters is very cool, where you can see more of a backstory, and you can see everything about them and how they became who they are. But it's still not my thing. Like if Judge Dredd is one of like is exactly like them, but not a robot. He's more of a cop who is trying to serve justice and everything within the apocalypse like society that they have within the story. But Judge Dredd is the main one that I like because of the fact that he, even though it's more on the future type thing, he has different ways of taking down his subordinates or his victims who are supposed to be brought into justice. And if they had brought in Judge Dredd, then that would have been different. But this is RoboCop, a robotic humanoid cop. But I don't have any problems with RoboCop at all, and I have no problems with Terminator. It's just they're not my favorite characters. Like, they're very dope to have in a game like this, where you have like different types of like Lin Kuei or cybernetic warriors who has been made into a robot because they had died, and they have the skills and the mindset of a warrior, so they wanted to implement that into a robot. But within that point, since they're not there, they have to bring in Terminator and RoboCop based off of the history, and because of the fact that they're either having a new movie coming out for these characters. So that's the reason why they are bringing the characters in, to get you to want to watch the movie more if they could make the character cool in a video game. Which is understandable, because look at Jason X, look at Michael Myers, look at all these other characters, Spawn. Like, they're iconic characters who's been through horror, sci-fi, and all that other stuff. And it's basically, it's hard to get them into a video game, but it's good for the franchise who is developing the movies for these characters, so that they can have enough money to continue making the movies for these characters. That's the reason why they're bringing them into Mortal Kombat, which is a good idea. Most of the fans of Mortal Kombat doesn't really like to they don't really like to see guest characters like this, because of the fact that it takes up a lot of space, and they wanted more Mortal Kombat characters. But we had a whole lifetime filled with Mortal Kombat characters. Trying to make things different. That's what NetherRealm is doing. Making things different. Did he just roar? Huh.
10-10, need backup now.
You are under arrest, dirtbag.
Okay, that's just weird. He did it in his intro with one hand. Like, alright, I'm gonna play it back. He had it on his left side. No, he had it on his right side. In his victory, it shows that he had it on his left side. So that means he must have been carrying two guns. On one side, and the other one is the same. Which is weird, but it's kind of...
You are under
okay
arrest,
for his character.
dirtbag.
Robo, any comment?
Crime does not pay.
I really like that one, because that one is exactly how he was portrayed within the story, where the reporters would come towards him and ask him so much questions.
are coming with me.
Still don't like him, but yeah, it works for him. Let's get into his movesets. Active and retrieve patrol. Shovel trap. Flamethrower. Thermal strike. Trick shot. Law out 9. Law auto 9. Air. OCP charge. Upgrade. Electro shield. Arm crowd control cannon. And that's basically it. He has less movesets than all the other characters, which makes no sense, but it is what it is. Like, it basically has no fit for him at all. He basically he's the weakest character. He has no inclinations, he has no movesets, none of that. They gave him less movesets than other characters would. Like, if you notice, every character I showcased has longer list of movesets that they have. His is not even, like, look at this, it's short. That means he wasn't really that much of a wanted character. It's just, and plus they have nothing much to put within Terminator, but it's Terminator. But alright, y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, share with your friends and family so that they can see the video and enjoy it themselves as well, the same way you have enjoyed it. And keep staying safe. And if you have Mortal Kombat and you want to play against me and all that, feel free to message me or like send me a request and I'll add you back, and we'll get to play Mortal Kombat or whatever fighting game that you have, or whatever game that you might have that I would have. We could play it. I could either showcase it on YouTube, or we could just have a nice fun gameplay of like matches within each other and everything. But I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Stay safe, and keep yourself out of trouble. That's it. And always tell your family and friends that you love and care for them, and you'll always be by their side no matter what. Enjoy the rest of your day. Latest.